first.
Thank you, Shashi. Good morning, everybody. I think this hall is going to be full with refractive, and more refractive. So there's so many ways you can skin the cat, but what is the best way is what you feel comfortable with. You can buy machines. Technology comes it's come as a cost. You can buy smiles. You can buy femtos. But if you're not convinced in what you're doing, you can never convince the patient that this is the best for you. So I'll be just sharing with you my experience with Smile for the last, we have it for last 3 years now. Okay, so what exactly is Smile? Initially when you started LASIK, what came first, the egg or the hen? I think the excimer machine came first. So we started zapping the corneal surfaces. Your wires are loose here, I think. So we started cutting the surface off like a PRK. Then we got the blades. We got a hang of blades, all these Hansatomes and or any Morias and all. So you raise a flap, like an ambassador car, you open the bonnet, treat the engine, and you put it back. So you got a flap and you put it back. Then came the evolution when you hit the femtoseconds. Now femtosecond did a corneal flap making, which was very precise as compared to the blades. So your standard deviation was about plus minus 20 microns, which was fantastic because the blades were unpredictable. So once they got a hang of cutting the cornea in one single plane, then the second thought came, why not cut anterior and posterior both and take a lenticule out, rather than cutting it all around 360 degree and making the cornea weak. So the flap and zap has become flap and flap only. So you cut two complete lenticule and take it out. So you have to buy one machine only. All right, so the first people who started this was, it was Secundus, in which he created a flap, but he lifted the lenticule, entire lenticule from a big incision. It was actually creating a flap, 360 degree almost. Then Blum et al. Came to Smile, in which the incision went to 2 millimeters. Now everybody in Smile is actually using 2 millimeter incision. So what is good? If you're cutting more cornea, the two basic things which are happening in refractive surgery when you do on the cornea is you making this cornea weak for life. Every procedure on the cornea, when you cut any amount of collagen, will make it weak. So which one is a lesser evil is what you can pick up. Both are evil, right? So lesser evil is the one which is Smile, because you're not cutting 360 degree. So the innovation is much better in these ones. The strength of the cornea is there. It definitely becomes weaker than the pre-operative eyes in both scenarios. But this paper from ophthalmology tells us that it's much better, much safer for people who have thinner corneas, in which you can still take a chance with the Smile as compared to LASIK. Okay. The second is the dry eye. When you cut the nerves 360 degree, the biggest thing you're causing is that all the innervation has gone down. So in this study, they found out that the dry eye is definitely less in cases of Smile patient checked at 1 month, 6 months, and 1 year follow-up. There was a meta-analysis in which the 5 studies were taken care, in which they compared the dryness in both the groups, and they came to the conclusion that yes, the dry eye is definitely less in these patients, and all the fibrils, the corneal nerves are well preserved in these patients as compared to the LASIK. So LASIK is what is the basic talk here. You must do LASIKs also, but if you can take a step up and you can just go to Smile, but Smile also has its own problem, the cost and the complication, which I'll be discussing in some time. So basically this step, what you do in this one is you cut the posterior lenticule, side cut, anterior lenticule, and incision, you take it out of the eye. I'll just show you a little video here. I think that will clarify everything. All right, so that's the blinking light. So there is no infrared capture in this eye, so you have to make sure the eye is in the center. And what I did was I put the infrared on. So with infrared on, you can see the pupil, which you can't see otherwise, and it's all centered, and you start firing. Now this is a posterior cut. It's a posterior lenticule cut, which has to take place first, because if you cut the anterior one, you can't cut posterior because the light is not going to go through this opacity, which you created there, the bubbles. So that's the posterior cut first, and then the side cut, and then comes the anterior one. So anterior can be done easily because the anterior fibers are still clear, and this goes about 0.5 beyond the previous cut, and that's the incision. So that's about it. Now everything is cut. Now you have to go inside, split it up, and this was my first surgery of Smile which I did. So this is actual recording. It's not been edited at all. So whatever thing I'm doing, fumbling or whatever, this is what the way it is. So people say it's a long learning curve. I don't believe that. If you're average cataract surgeon, you can manage it very well. So I'm going very slowly, gingerly. So do you cut it from the posterior and interior? When you dissect from anterior to posterior. So you're dissecting the anterior plane first, and once you dissected the anterior, then you make a posterior, little flap on the posterior, not all the way. And this is going to take a little time because this was the first surgery which I operated. So I just wanted to show you the first one. I've been done about more than 1,000. Now we take even, I think, less than 50% of this time which we are doing there. Okay, so once you've gone anterior, then you go posterior in that one. And if you notice, my lenticule is going to be free from all the sides. And you just hold it and take it out. All right, so you can see the lenticule, it's clear from all the sides now. It's been separated from all the sides. So you just hold the lenticule and it's taken out. So learning curve there, but yes, the most important thing is the patient's cooperation. If the patient is cooperative, and I was not holding the eye in this surgery. So most of my fellows who start, I tell them to hold the eyes properly and do it. Gradually over a period, if you develop confidence that the patient is good, you can do without holding, and this is what it looks like. Okay. So this was a patient with a LASIK, and that's a patient with a SMILE a minute after the surgery. So what are the shortcomings of this one? When the SMILE came, they never had a good correction for the cylinder. But last year in October, they have started giving a cylinder till -3. So you can do from -1 to -10, depending on what is the residual belt thickness. And pre-op workup for SMILE is the same as the LASIK. It's not having advantage there. So whatever patient you can do a LASIK on, you can do a SMILE also. Right? So I'm sure lots of people are going to be talking about LASIK, so I'm going to skip that one. Ectasias can be seen with PRKs, with LASIK, as well as SMILE. So even the SMILE is going to make your cornea weak. So pick up the lesser evil is what I said. So your all residual bed thickness and PTA should be taken care of in these one. The complication could be two. One, the patient is not cooperative. So he moves the eye and the suction ring loses the suction. Second, you're firing the beam, but it's not cutting the cornea because something comes in between. It could be a mucus on the eye, a dry cornea. So at that spots, you'll get dark spots, and that's where the cornea is still sticking to each other. So it'll be difficult to dissect. So I'll just show you some videos in these ones, and then we'll finish it off. Now see, these are the patients done. They look horrible because they're, come on. Yeah. So you see there's a struggle going on there. Lenticule has been held from the side, and only the half lenticule come out. See, it's not a complete lenticule. So you go back again, hold it, and take it. Now this video is one of the worst surgeries I've seen, but the result next day was patient was 6'6". So you can go back and take it out, the lenticules. So there's no point in leaving the lenticules behind. You can pick it up, and if you have an OCT guided microscope, you can do it very easily on the same day also. So once that's taken care of, that's gone. You can have suction loss at the beginning of the surgery or at the end of the surgery. So this is what happens with suction loss. Now suction loss is more in these patients that came to the LASIK because the amount of suction pressure is low in SMILE patients. Come on. आएगा तो वो टाइम निकल जाएगा तब तक. Anyway, so now this is what you see, a black spot here. So that is where the cornea is not dissected yet. So when you're splitting the cornea, you have to be a little more crude here. You have to be little with a little force. You have to push it open and do it. So we've done about 1,000 eyes for now. So the basic minimum I've done is -1.5 to 1.75 to -9. At 1 week, all these patients were 6x6. In the early phase, we used higher energy in these months, and we were getting more of OBLs, and it was taking recovery time was a little longer. But now most of these patients, first day, they are 6x6 because energy have been reduced. So suction loss was seen in a few patients, and the black spots were seen in a few patients, which I think is a part of the learning curve, and eventually this all settles down. So shortcoming of the software is that they don't have a 1 mm incision. In fact, in some time they might have 2 1 mm incision, and you can split cornea all around. They don't have a OCT as such on the machine, so you might have to take the patient to the other microscope sometime if the lenticle is left behind. The foot control is not there for the zoom. So every time you have to zoom, you have to use the hand back with the knob. So if you're doing a procedure, you have to leave the instrument, go to the microscope, adjust the focus again, and go back. So that's a little cumbersome. So with the request, I think Zeiss people have put foot pedals on these machines now. So to conclude, the smile is a simple, there was no loss of vision in any of these patients, and it's predictable and there was no regression. And all these patients, at the end of 1 year, the dryness and the hysteresis was pretty good in these patients. So it's quite a safe procedure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kokar.